everyone, I'm Kelly Manzone. Thank you for joining me today for my first IG Live TV class with stick mobility. I'm very grateful to be a part of the team, and I'll be teaching every other month on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to my home training space. I've got my son homeschooling in the other room, so fingers crossed, no interruptions. For today's class, we're going to need the stick mobility bundle. So your 2 long sticks, 1 short stick, access to a ceiling or a beam, and if you need a towel for our knee down movement that we have on the ground. If you don't have sticks, you could grab PVC pipe, wooden dowels, whatever you have available. So I'm going to take you first through our dynamic warm-up. We're going to begin with both sticks in a knee down lunge position. So our right leg is going to be forward, our left leg is back, and we're going to plant our flex the foot, so top of the foot is down. You're going to take both of your sticks and frame your front right heel. Your arms, the placement, right, is right below that shoulder line, so you could press down into the sticks. And again, those sticks are angled slightly in closer towards you. Now you're going to squeeze your back seat, tucking the tailbone under, and we're going to slowly glide forward and pull back, working into the hip flexor and into the top of the foot. Let's do one more. Drive down, slowly draw back. Now you're going to anchor with the ball of your back foot. As we glide forward, we're going to externally rotate the hip, opening up the left arm, and you're going to go on the instep of your left foot and then draw it back, squaring off. Again, gliding forward, rotating, working into that hip, and I've got about 20%, 30% of my upper body pressing down into the sticks. So we're going to isolate one side first before we move on. Let's do one more. Glide forward, open the hip, working into the hip flexor. Pause for a moment, and coming through center. Now we're going to take our sticks right in line with our hips. Top of the foot is going to go back down to the ground. You're going to hold up high so you get a little bit of traction through the upper body. While here, you're going to squeeze your seat, tucking the tailbone under once again, and now anchor with the ball of your back foot. Elevate the knee, working into that hip flexor. Exhale, and then inhale as you lower the knee down. Exhale and press back once again, squeezing into the glute, focusing on your hip, and then lower the knee down to the ground. Pause here for a moment, elevate that knee, hold. We're going to slide our palms down and add a little bit of rotation through the T-spine. Coming through center, lower the knee. Again, make sure the sticks are angled in towards you. And you're going to glide forward once again, working into the hip, pull back, coming through center, and then opening up towards the inside of that front leg. Coming back through center, arms lift, take a moment, elevate that knee, squeeze through the seat. You're going to slide the hands down, drive down into the sticks, looking behind you, coming through center, and once again, lower, and now we're going to transition to the other side. I'm just going to set my timer so I make sure that I keep on count. So now our right leg is forward, left leg is back. We're going to frame that front heel, top of the foot down. Take a moment, pat the shoulders, squeeze into the seat, glide forward. Excuse me, I'm going to switch legs so I can have my open hip towards you. Glide forward and pull back. Excellent. Again, inhale and exhale. We got one more. Working into the hip, drawing back, and now we're going to anchor with our back foot. As we glide forward, we're going to open that right hip, right arm out to the side, and then slowly draw through center. Driving down into the sticks as you glide forward, working into that external rotation, getting some feedback from the sticks, coming back through center. One more here. Pause for a moment, getting into the stretch. And as we come through center, we're going to take the sticks now right in line with the hips. Arms glide up. We're getting a little bit of that traction through the upper body. Take a moment, top of the foot down to tuck the tailbone under. Now anchor with the ball of your back foot. Clear the knee, squeeze into the seat, and tap the knee down. So you inhale as you tap the knee down. Exhale as you press back. So that front knee should be right above the heel. Lower once again. Re-lengthen. We're going to do one more before we add on. Knee taps the floor. Re-lengthen. Hold for a moment. Take the knee down. Now we're going to lower our hands. And as we glide into our stretch, working into the T-spine, exhale as you, inhale, as you go through center. Exhale as you look back behind you, working into the T-spine. Love these stretches. They feel so good. And now as we come through center, hold up a little bit higher. Elevate that back knee once again. We're going to slide the hands down ever so slightly. Getting deeper into the stretch. Let's do two more. So you're rotating into your front leg. Into the open hip. One more. Into the forward leg. And then into the open hip. To come out of our stretch as we come through center, lower the knee, take the elbows, bend them, go into a knee down lunge, and press up. So now we're going to work into a lateral warm-up. So we're taking our wide stance with our sticks placed right between the arch of our feet. Now, my arms, I'm going to take them over towards my right. We want to make sure that that bottom arm is low so that when we go into our stretch, you're able to clear the chin over the bicep. With the arms to the right, I'm going to bend into my left knee. Gripping the ground with the feet, and I'm working into the inner thigh. Now from here, using some neck articulations to intensify the stretch. So eyes leading the head. I'm going to look over my left shoulder, and then up towards my right. Over the left shoulder, up towards the right, and come through center. Sticks now, glide over towards the left side, bend into the right knee, looking upwards. So again, chin should clear over the bicep. Breathing through the nose if you can. I'm a big believer in nasal breathing. So you're going to keep your mouth closed, tongue on the roof of your mouth as you go through the stretches, breathing into the diaphragm. Switch back over to the other side. Looking over your left shoulder, slowly over the right, going maybe a little deeper, over the left shoulder, towards your right, come up and out of the stretch, and through center once again to the other side. And again, I'm tearing the floor apart with my feet, and I've got both sticks driving down into the floor. Let's do one more on each side. Now I'm feeling a little bit more warmed up, so you could go deeper into your stretch, but never work into pain. So everybody is different. I want you to find what is comfortable for you and to maintain it throughout class. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you my information at the end of class. Moving on, I want you to take your sticks forward, safely heel toe in to protect your hips. And we're going to work into our hamstrings for part of our warm-up. So your sticks are going to go onto your shoulders, creating train tracks. Step your right foot forward and your left foot back. We want, if possible, that back heel to be flat to the ground. Taking your palms, you're going to press down on both sticks. Slide those shoulders down and back so you have length through the spine, and begin to hinge forward. without hyperextending that front leg, even though that leg is straight. Squaring off that hip line, watching the alignment with your pelvis. Now on the inhale, you're gonna lower your knee to the floor. Exhale and lengthen, eyes down. Inhale, eyes forward on the horizon. And as you exhale and lengthen, maybe you go a little bit further. And again, everybody is different. So work with what is comfortable. Knee down, lengthen. Let's do one more before we change sides. Lower the knee on the inhale. Exhale, lengthen. Pause here for a moment. Now you're gonna rebend, use the sticks, slowly stand back up. I'm gonna turn so that my back leg is forward towards the camera. So now we have our other leg forward. Again, setting up the train tracks on our shoulders. Take the palms down, press into the sticks, square off that hip line, ease into it, hold for a moment, and then when you're in your position, take that inhale, soften into that back knee, lengthen, focusing on that hamstring. Again, inhale, lower the knee, exhale, lengthen. Maybe go a little further into the stretch, and again, work with what is comfortable for you. We do want to try to keep that back heel connected to the floor when we lengthen. Pause here for a moment, rebend into the back knee, use the sticks, and slowly glide up. So now we're going to move on to our single stick drill. So place your double sticks to the floor nearby, because we'll be using them in a moment when we get to our strength portion. So for the shorter stick, kayaking is one of my favorite stick mobility exercises ever, especially if you're a racket athlete or if you're somebody like myself who does circular training in kettlebells with a lot of overhead work. You're going to take your classical stick mobility horse stance, so you're wider than hip width, grip the ground with the feet, slight tuck of the tailbone, so our pelvis is tucked under. Take your stick or your dowel, push into the edge of the sticks. If you have a long stick, you would just cup the hands over the outside of the stick. I'm placing it onto my right hip, and now I'm going to kind of breaststroke forward. I want to call it breaststroke, I guess freestyle stroke forward. Now I'm pushing into the stick, working into the shoulder girdle. My hips, though, are staying forward. So if you just see me from that side view, I've got that slight tuck of my tailbone, and I'm not moving my hip line. Pushing in, upward, and then pushing back. Let's do about 6 more. Eyes forward, never working into pain. 2 more. Now, pause here. The stick is on the left hip, and we're going to go backwards into like a backstroke. Up and back. Try if you can. You could go for diaphragmatic breathing. Again, keeping the mouth closed, tongue on the roof of the mouth, and just breathing through your nose. That keeps us out of fight or flight. Excellent. Let's go for 6 more, and then we're going to work into our T-spine. Back 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 2 more. 5 and 6. Take a second, shake it out, and now working into the T-spine. Maintaining your horse stance, soften into knees, tuck the tailbone under. You're going to take your stick to chest height. Slide those shoulders down and back and push into the stick to activate your mid-back. Keeping the hips forward, I'm going to take my left hand, go back, look behind me, coming through center. Inhale through center. Exhale, looking behind. Now, as you can see, I'm really gripping the ground with my feet, and I'm keeping my hips forward, so I'm not compensating for the lack of mobility in the spine. Back through center. Let's do 1 more on each side, And then we're going to move on to our strength portion of class. Through center, inhale, exhale, and back through center. Take a moment, shake out your arms, shake out your legs, and we're moving on to some hip articulations in a narrow stance to build some strength and stability through our hip line. Now it's important to note that in this position, we're gonna kind of cue you to watch if you're shifting your body weight. So you wanna stay nice and centered. Taking your feet together, your sticks are gonna be at like 11 and 1 o'clock. Bottoms of the sticks, like always, are angled in a little bit closer to you. Your hands are going to be slightly underneath that shoulder line. So the second I press about 30% of my energy down into the sticks, I'm going to feel the whole trunk of my body light up. We're going to begin by taking our left foot over to the right side. Slide up. I'm pushing just about 30 seconds, excuse me, not 30 seconds, 30% of my strength into the stick. Keeping my knees centered, I am then going to internally rotate, slide the outside of the heel down, and then reverse it. Slide up, knees stay centered, then externally rotate, and gently lower. Easing into this. So again, just 30% of the strength. Pause through center, and then we internally rotate. Flex that foot. Keep that contact with the stick. Internally rotate and lower. Now this time I want you to add about 50% of your strength. Watch again your hip line. You should start to get a little bit of a quiver through the upper body, in through the hip line. So we're staying connected with the feet. Highly recommend that you train barefoot or in a minimalist shoe. And now adding on, pause here, right in the center. Pack those shoulders, right? Engage your core. I'm already shaking. You're gonna take it, internal rotation, push into the stick, hold for 5 count, hold 1, 2, 3, 4. On 5, try to keep that knee in place, maintain that height. Then push into the stick once again as we externally rotate. Hold for 5. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. On 5, again, internal rotation. Outside heel of the foot, pressing into the stick. Maintain your alignment. 3, 2, 1. Last time. External, press into the stick, 5 count, 1, 2, 3, 4, on 5, realign through center, gently lower. Now it's all woken up, I'm already sweating. Could be the 3 cups of coffee too. So now we're taking that stance, going over to our other side. Right foot is going to come across. 30% of our strength. Now remember, we're staying connected throughout. So we have not disconnected from pressing into the ground. The front line of our body is quite lit up, so you should feel your core. You should definitely feel your lats and that connection through your foot. Focus on your breathing, keeping it nice and balanced as we work through this set. Again, 30% of strength, draw up, knee stays in place, internally rotate. Now add on 50% of strength. So we've kind of brought it up a notch. Good. Push, pull, creating that tension. Internally rotate, gently lower. Flex that foot, draw it back up. Now, push into the stick. So we have more of our strength, staying tall, 5 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. On 5, internal rotation. 5 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. On 5, external rotation. So breathe, you should be trembling. I'm working right alongside with you. And again, transition, internal rotation, should be shaking, push. Work for it. We're really focused on strength today. Internal rotation one more time, maintaining that height. I did a lot of rowing yesterday and now I really feel it. Internally rotate, hold for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, on 5, release. Whew. Okay, next exercise is by far one of my favorite variations for building strength with stick mobility. We're going to do an RDL series where we add a lift of an opposite side stick and leg extension. So I'm going to demonstrate first before you perform it with me. And I'm going to go on a diagonal here. So my sticks are close to the body. Of course, like always, I'm going to angle the bottom of the sticks in a little bit. Shoulders down and back. And when I hinge forward, I want my bicep to be in line with my ear. So I'm going to elevate my outside left leg, hinge forward from the hip line, staying nice and parallel and squared. And then I'm really going to drive down through the left stick, lift the right, hold 1, 2, place my stick down, drive up, knee extension, pause here, working into the quad, lengthen. If that bothers you, you can simply just keep the knee lift. So we're going to perform 5 of these on each side. So we're going with a serious leg workout. So take a moment, set up your stance, stand tall, pack those shoulders, engage your lats, elevate your left knee. We're going to hip hinge forward, maintaining our alignment, length through the spine. This back left foot, you're going to internally rotate the toes down. Now drive down through that left stick, lift the right, hold 1, hold 2, lower the stick, and slowly drive up. Extend into our quad work, getting that nice burn. Should be out of the hip flexor and into the thigh. Again, hip hinge forward, pause here, lift the right stick as you press down through the left, lower the right stick, drive up, and extend, hold. Rebend, mindful of your alignment. If you need to modify, you do not have to lift the right stick. So there's always ways to regress and progress positions based on where you're at on any given day, or if you're working around any injuries. Lower the stick, drive up, pause, lengthen, work right into that quad. You should feel that. One more, hip hinge forward, as parallel as can be. Squeeze that back seat, press down into the stick, lower, drive up on that exhale, hold, 1, 2, rebend that knee. Take a moment, shake it out. We're going to transition now to the other side. Okay, so you have your same setup. Pack those shoulders. Take a moment, find your alignment. Elevate the knee, hip hinge forward, pause here, lift that left arm. Hold 1, 2, come up, drive up, and now again, squeeze through the quad. Beautiful. Rebend the knee, glide, hip hinge forward, pause here, lift the left arm, hold as you're pressing down into that right, lower, find that nice length, exhale, draw those sticks in, watch your hip line, right? So you're not sinking your hip out to the side. Definitely, again, one of my favorite drills for building strength through that foot ankle complex, all through our posterior chain, squeeze. Let's do 2 more, please. rebend, hinge forward, nice flat back. Core braced, drive down again through that right arm as you lift the left. Lower the stick gently. Drive up. One more. Hip hinge. Get that nice parallel position. Elevate. Hold. Good. Place it down. And drive up. Squeeze into that quad. Pause. Rebend. Awesome. Shake it out. So for the next 2 leg drills, we're going to use just one stick. Grab a sip of water if you need it. I'm having a sip of coffee because coffee is life. A little tip, if you are pressing your stick mobility stick on a ceiling and get scuff marks, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser works every time. So take your stick to the ceiling, and then we're going to go in for our Dunphy squats. This is such a great variation, and we're going to really focus on strength with our Dunphy squats today. So I'm going to slow down the count. We're just going to do 5 Dunphy squats, but we're going to work on lowering down for the 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, and then driving back up to standing 4 counts. So it'll make us sweat. Take a moment for your setup. So again, stick pressing into the ceiling or a beam. Your stance is going to be wider than hip width with the toes slightly turned out. Everybody's setup with their body and bone structure and mobility, flexibility is different. So please modify as needed. If you can't go as low, that is okay. Your hands, I'm going to start with my right hand. I'll call it my left because of the screen being flipped. Left hand on top, right hand on the bottom. Now I'll demonstrate one first before we do it as a group. So I'm stepping in, my eyes are going to continue to look at the stick. I'm going to drive up with about like 80%, 70% of my strength. Down 1, down 2, 3, 4. Now as you notice, I'm in that deep squat and my elbows come in, flat back, chest is open, and then I'm going to drive up, really gripping the ground with my feet, up for 4. Up 1, up 2, 3, 4. So we have 5 of these. We'll switch the top hand halfway through. Okay, so 70% of your strength. Inhale, exhale throughout. Here we go on 3. 1, 2, 3. Down for 4 counts. Down 1. Down 2. Elbows in. 3. Hold at the bottom. Hold for 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. On 4, keep 70% of strength. Pull yourself. Press away from the ground. Again, 4 down. Down 1, down 2. Stay close. Watch your alignment with your pelvis. No butt wink. Hold for 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. On 4, drive up. Really push. Good. Again, down 1, down 2, 3, hold on 4, 4 counts. We're staying low. Breathe. You should be shaking. Here we go, up for 4. Press away the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm going to switch the top hand. Again, let's go for 2 more. 4 count. Pull yourself to the earth. Down 1. Pelvic alignment, 2, keep pushing, 3, 4, hold for 4, hold 1, 2, 3, on 4, 80% of your strength. You should be shaking. I'm sweating, I'm gonna have to open the window soon. Down for 4, down 1, down 2, down 3, down 4, work those legs, hold for 4, hold 1, 2, 3, on 4, we drive up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo, everything is alive. Time to open up this window. Snowplow already came, so we should be pretty good. One more out of our strength drill for our legs. So we're going to go into an isometric single leg lunge where we're going to add rotation of our upper body. We're going to begin with the right leg forward. The stick is going to be at mid-back, like so, right across that T-spine. With this drill, I want you to push into the stick with both arms. So again, creating some tension. Right leg forward, left leg back. I'll go on a diagonal so you can see that back leg and my hip. Now, I'm gonna lift my belly, hinge over the top of the leg. So we just worked that Dunphy squat. The hamstring, the seat, after our RDLs, they're fired up. Now, breathing through the nose if you can. We're going to rotate, draw that left side towards center. Come through center. I'm still pushing into the stick. And now open. But that left hip continues to face down. Now, with that forward hinge, again, my belly's not collapsing on top of the thigh. My belly is lifted. I'm hinging over that leg. And I go with the rotation that my body allows. We're going to do 2 more. Push into the stick. Rotate. Very nice. Through center. Again, press into the stick. We got 1 more each side. Push in. Take it across. And 1 more. Excellent. Take a moment. Come through center. Upright. Step forward. Shake it out. Changing sides. So those legs are live. Take your stance. Hip hinge forward, flat back. Lift the belly. Notice that outside hip that's facing the camera, I'm not going to open it as I rotate. It stays closed. Hinge forward, rotate. Eyes could follow. Remember, eyes lead the head. Yes. Good. Nice and smooth. Rotate over. So I'm really driving down the flat front foot, accenting that heel. Through center once again. Push into the stick. Stay connected. Don't let go of that back seat. Squeeze that back seat. We're almost there. Come through center. Hold. Pause. Come up out of the lunge and shake it out. Excellent. Now we're going to get into a quick core exercise before we move on to our stretching portion of class. So take your short stick, coming into the quadruped position. One of my favorite exercises by far for building core strength. We're going to take our stick into the left hand. Coming down onto all fours, you're going to angle that stick so it's closer to you. And if you were to look down, I'd like for you to have your wrist kind of in line with your shoulder, bicep in line with your ear so you could create some stability. In your position here, the outside right hand is directly below the shoulder line, knees right below the hip line. Now, we're going to come up, pause here, drive down through the stick. So I'm pushing with about 70% of my strength down into the stick. If you want to make it harder, elevate the opposite foot. Hold for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. On 5, lower the foot, lower the knee. Take a moment, take a break. We're going to go over to the other side. So I have the stick in my right hand. Again, taking it so it's angling closer to the body. We're set up on all fours. Watch the alignment with your tailbone. So no anterior tilt. Lift the belly, flatten out the back. Set up your position. Square off, anchor with the balls of your feet. Pause, hold. Now, when you're ready, lift the opposite foot. Knees stay low, staying stable. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly lower the foot, lower the knee. Shake it out. One more exercise. We're just going to go into some dead bugs for some core work before we go into our stretching portion. So I'll angle this way. We're going to lay on our back in the supine position, maintaining a flat back. So take a second, wiggle it out. Your stick is going to come about mid-thigh. Flatten out the spine. Your head could stay down. Because I'm speaking to you, I'm going to keep my head up. Pretend you have a block between your knees so that you're staying hip width apart. Your knees then are going to be, again, right above that hip line. Feet are flexed right in line with the knees. Pushing, now I already feel my core, right? So I have a slight tip of my tailbone. Abs immediately fire. If this is all you're comfortable with, simply hold here. My thighs are pressing forward, and then I'm pushing the stick into my thighs. Nice and slow, I'm extending my left leg. Exhale, drop back in. Keep that tuck of the tailbone. Flex through the foot, stay connected. Exhale, take it back in, and relax. Take a moment, lower your head if you chose to have it elevated, and we're going to do one more, but I really want you to work for this one. So it's simple, yet extremely effective. And in next week's class, I want to add on some other variations. Mid-thigh with a stick, flexing the palms. I haven't even done anything yet, but I'm tucking that tailbone. I can feel that activation. Elevate the knees so they're right above that hip line. Flex. Now, if you just want to hold, you're going to hold here and work. If not, draw down. Stay connected. Exhale. Draw that knee in. Press down opposite side. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Rib cage stays closed. Draw it back in. Hold. And relax. Excellent. Take your short stick to the ground. We're going to come up with one long stick for our stretching section. And we're going to go from standing and then finish on the ground. My favorite, I've said that a few times, but it's true, is bow and arrow variations. So you're going to take your stance slightly wider than your hip width. Your stick is going to be about 3 to 4 inches out from the midline of your foot. Now, my left hand, thumb is going to face down, and you're going to take your right hand, find the sticker, and begin to press out, creating that bow. I'm setting my hip out towards my window, and you want to take the tailbone under. Hold here, so we're really working into those lateral lines. Grip in the ground, of course, with our feet. Again, that shoulder is down. My top left hand is almost kind of pulling back. Look up, hold, inhale and exhale, slowly come out of it. Let's do one more on this side. Again, into the bow and arrow. Remember your key points. Maybe you go a little bit deeper this time, but again, never working into pain. Hold. Take that hip out towards the wall. So if you're familiar with like a kettlebell windmill, when you have that hip hinge, you're sending that hip out. This is a little bit familiar. Slowly come out of it. And then we're going to intensify the bow and arrow before we change sides. If crossing the outside left foot over the right is too intense, you could simply take a staggered stance with that outside leg stepping back, or you can even try it with the inside leg stepping back. So I'm crossing my left foot over, really got to grip the ground with the feet. Now the stick is going to come a little bit further out than it was before, and working into the close stance bow and arrow. Be mindful that you're not jutting your chin forward, so you want to kind of keep your neck in alignment. This gets a little deeper into the hip. I love this. And then slowly come out of it, especially if you do a lot of rowing or you're a runner. Taking your stance a little bit wider, we're changing sides. Right hand, the thumb is going to face down. Remember to pivot, move your stick around so that it doesn't get too bent. Press out. Hold here. Try to channel some of that diaphragmatic breathing if you can, right? So we're winding down after we worked hard in our strength portion, looking upward towards the ceiling. Slowly come out of it, and then go deeper into it. Work with what you're comfortable with. Again, remember that important connection with the feet to the ground, and then driving the stick down into the floor. Angle, look up, tailbone under. Slowly come out of it. And now we're going to do that full crossover. And if that's uncomfortable for you, you're going to go into that staggered variation. So my right leg is crossing over my left. Stick is in line with the hip. Find that position. One side sometimes is tighter than the other. Breathe. Hold. I want to get deeper into it, so I'm going to rotate, kind of taking again my left hip forward. Hold for a breath or two. Nice. And then slowly work your way out of it. We're going to take our stick now to the lower mid-back, working into a hip hinge. So from here, a little bit wider than hip width, hip hinge forward, flat back. I'm going to take my right side over to the left. Now I'm not going into slap shot, so I'm not moving and bending into one side. I'm going to take the stick as far over as I can comfortably. So this is really great, not only for the T-spine, but I'm getting into that front line with the chest down into the biceps, into the forearm. Like we did in the beginning of class, big believer in the articulations, right? So leading with the eyes up towards the ceiling and then down to the floor. Breathing through the nose, look up towards the ceiling, down towards the floor. Let's do one more, upward towards the ceiling. Check and scan, right? Watch that hip line, and then down to the floor. Pause here for a moment. Come through center. Come up out of the stretch, and let's do the same thing on the other side, left to right. Hip hinging forward. Come across as comfortably as you can. Square off that hip line. Nasal breathing, neck articulations. I just got an awesome release. Looking down to the floor. Upward towards the ceiling. So we're engaging and working into that front line. And again, looking up. And looking back down to the floor. Come through center. Slowly come up. We're going to work into a straddle split and then a QL stretch to finish with. So I'm just going to get my other stick out of the way. Come down into a straddle position. I'm going to go a little bit on a diagonal here. Your stick's going to be in front with the stick placed into the mid-arch. Important to note, right? We're not scooping and rounding through the spine. If needed, you could take your towel or a small pillow, place it and sit on it with a tailbone placed on it to help you to stay upright. Taking my right hand over, my left hand over, flexing through the feet. Now, I have a lot of mobility, so I'm not going to go as wide as I normally would. I want you to work into what is comfortable for you. Bending your elbows, you're going to take your arms in. Now we're driving those heels down into the floor, pulling back, flexing the toes upward towards the ceiling. So you're lighting up your inner thighs. Then you're going to point, wrap the ball of the foot over the top of the stick. It's going to change the dynamic of your stretch quite a bit. As I do that, I'm going to bend into my elbows once again. Flex the feet, drive down. So my inner thighs, my hamstrings are pushing into the ground, and then point. Excellent. Hold 4 count. Hold 1, 2, 3. On 4, one more time. Flexing the feet, toes upward towards the ceiling, working into those inner thighs. Should be quite intense. If it's too intense, back it off, and then point. Proud chest. If you want, you could hinge forward slightly, and that'll intensify it. Hold for 4. Hold 1, 2, 3. On 4, take a moment, relax the feet, place the stick down. Woo! Shake it out. Everything's alive. Safely to come out of it before we get into our QL stretch, which is also another way that you can modify your straddle. Take hold of behind the knees, slide those heels in. Now my left foot is going to come to the inside of my right thigh. Left knee bent, hip stays down. Our stick, like we had it before, is going to be placed through the mid-arch, and I'm just going to take my stick behind me. Important to note that if you struggle and your knee tends to pop up, one variation is you could give yourself a little bit of assistance by pressing that opposite hand down onto the thigh and opening the chest. I personally like to flex. I don't know if you could see, but I'm flexing my back left hand, keeping that shoulder down away from the ear, but it allows a little bit more feedback into my front line, beginning with the forearm into the bicep, into the chest and shoulder. And from here, I'm gonna lean my upper body back, and you could bend that other elbow and go deeper into the stretch. So you're getting right into your QL. Let's hold here for about 4 count. 1, you can flex that back palm. 2, 3, on 4, come out of it, and we're gonna go into it one more time before we change sides. You could walk that hand down further, flex that palm, open the chest. If you'd like, you could even take your hand to the chest, or again, across to the other side. We're not crunching into that oblique though. I want you to feel lifting up and out of the hip line. Hold 4 count, hold 1, 2, 3. On 4, we're gonna come out of it, transition to the other side. Shake it out for a moment. So our right foot now is in front. We got the stick into the arch of our left foot. Each side feels different. I couldn't tell this is kind of my tighter side here. I'm gonna flex my right palm. If you need to, take the opposite left hand to the thigh. Chest stays open. Watch your alignment with the torso, no rib flare. Lean into it. Good. Hold here for 4 counts. Hold 1, hold 2, hold 3. On 4, slowly come out of it, and we're gonna go into it one more time to finish. Got the back hand flex. You don't have to do that if you're not comfortable. Leaning into the stretch, getting that feedback. So my back is pressing into the stick, getting into that QL. Hold here. Remember, knee down. Try not to hold your breath. Breathing important. 4 count. Hold 1, hold 2, hold 3, and then on 4, slowly come out of it. Take your stick to your side. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today for my first stick mobility class. Very excited and grateful to be here. Remember to follow Stick Mobility's YouTube page. They have their podcast episodes up on there too. Later today, this class is going to be uploaded to the IG main page and then uploaded to the YouTube. You could find me on Instagram at KelsBells88. I believed in stick mobility so much that about, I think it's been 4 years now, Corona times messes up my time clock, but I believe it was 4 years ago, I flew out to San Jose to get certified in stick mobility. and it has become like such an essential component of my training when I'm working with my clients, with my programs, and when I travel to teach my circular training and kettlebell workshops. Thank you again, and I will see you soon.